that. This will be recorded if you are not aware of that. So that being said, if you do not want to be recorded, if you don't want to have your picture on, just go ahead and turn your camera off. But before you do that, I will say people like to do business with other people that they can see. So as much as possible, if you can have your cameras on, that would be helpful for us just to, kind of get the bit of human interaction that we can potentially get, with a Zoom call, right? So that is another thing. What else? 3 things to know. You should have received a calendar invite for all of the sessions for She Means Business. If you have not received that, please tell us in the chat. We'll make sure to see kind of what's happening with that. The Zoom link to join that you used to join today's class is going to be the same Zoom link that you use for the rest of the sessions. Okay, that is 1. Number 2, Miss Kimberly Mitchell, which I'll go ahead and have her introduce herself in just a second. She's our awesome facilitator. She is also going to be providing separate office hours, virtual office hours, obviously, outside of the Tuesday class. Those office hours are to be used for basically any questions that you have that we couldn't get to during the Tuesday class. She is taking time out of her busy schedule to sit down with you, go over the material that we went over in the Tuesday class, talk to you specifically about your situation, your business, any questions that you have, take advantage of that, right? Because again, the more you put into this class is the more you're going to get out of it. Okay. Lastly, we created a Google Drive, not particularly, but specifically, let me get the right word, for this course as well. So you should have received an email with a few documents, 3 documents actually, that we're going to review today. It's technically the same document. One of them is just so you can kind of jot your ideas down. Think of it as like scrap paper, right? The other 2 documents are just 2 different sizes. One of them is a standard 8.5 by 11, regular printer paper that you can use. Or if you want to see it, kind of on a bigger scale, there's an 11 by 17 size. So feel free to use whatever's most convenient to you. Those same documents that we provided in an email, those are also going to be available on the Google Drive. These links, all of this stuff was also provided in an email to you. Again, if you did not receive it for whatever reason, put it in the chat. We'll make sure to go through the transcripts after the meeting and address whatever we need to address. As I'm like out of breath here. Lastly, like I mentioned, right, you're going to get out of this what you put into it. But more so, now is not the time to multitask. I know everyone on the call is super busy. You have a million things happening. We understand, obviously, if you have children in the background, you're feeding them, whatever your situation is, even if you don't have children, if you have fur babies, feel free. But try to be as engaged as possible. Because this is really not the time, again, to multitask. You will forget something. And while this is being recorded, you really want to make sure that you're focusing as much as you can on this, because there's money that you can potentially win at the end of this course, right? That's it. That's all I have right now. I don't want to waste any more time. It's already 5:06, but Kim, if you can please present yourself.
Hello, ladies. All these ladies on here mean business. Hello, all of you. This is exciting. This is a huge class. So we're going to be going over all of these different aspects of owning a business, running a business, and talking about the money, because that's where it really happens, the money. So when Citizens gets in there and starts breaking down all those digits, that's really exciting. So what I'm going to do is you're going to be with me for part of the time, with Citizens a part of the time. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my presentation and we can go ahead and get started. Here, actually, let me put it in presentation mode first. Get us going. And we are ready. As soon as I find you again, I'm really not this technically challenged, trust me. Okay, here we go. Now we can put it in slideshow. Can everybody see the slideshow? Great, great, great. So, she means business. We mean business. We're going to start with our introductions. Again, I'm Kimberly Mitchell, owner of Ujuzi. I've been in the training business for over 25 years, had my own business for about 10 years, various businesses over those 10 years. And I'm a training company helping struggling small business operators become consistently profitable by developing a business owner mindset. That's your introduction to me. So the introduction to She Means Business is this is an accelerated small business program sponsored by Pathstone with a pitch competition sponsored by Citizens Bank. That's where the money is. I wish I could give you money. I'd probably be a lot more popular, but Citizens is the one that has the change. So here is where I'm asking you to introduce yourself. Drop that in the chat. My name is blank, owner of blank, and we help who you help with, what you help them with, by how you help them. And the reason for that is we're going to start talking like business owners. We're all business owners on this call. I know that there's a whole vast array of business owners. I went through the list. I said, this is everything I need, services and supports, food and drink. Even if I want to get a little freaky sneaky, there's some stuff on here. So we are all in this business together. And I want us to start speaking to us, each other, and our customers as business owners. So go ahead and drop my name is, owner of, and we help who with what, by how. And you can use the one mine as an example. Keep it simple, I would say. Don't make it so complicated that your customer doesn't know that you're talking to them. And we're going to go over that more and more as we go over these next 7 weeks. So the schedule, Tuesdays, 5 to 7:30. We are not going to sit you here in front of the camera for 2.5 whole hours without a break. So we will be taking a 15-minute break right at the top of the hour. Session 1 is about the business canvas. And that is really the foundation of your early stage business. We're going to be talking about your what, your why, your how, all of that on a canvas. You should have received a worksheet that has it in table format. And the reason that is so that you can jot your ideas down on that paper before putting them onto your final canvas. That canvas should be sort of like a guiding tool for you throughout the formation and operation of your business. Session 2, we're going to build on that business canvas and talk a lot more specifically about the target customer, your target customer. That is a very important person to you and your business. And we're going to really help you flesh that out and figure out who that is, how you reach them, and what you need to be saying to them. Session 3 is the beginning of the numbers, those financials. Citizens Bank is going to facilitate that along with session 4, and that's going to get you teed up for that pitch competition. So we're going to have a practice session. We have a template that we're going to work with you to populate and use that for your presentation. And that's going to give you the framework for that session 7 pitch where the real money comes in. Now, we have a couple of sessions built in here for you to practice. Some of the office hours will be available for you to practice and really fine tune your pitch. We're going to make sure you're ready, do everything we can do to get you to the point where you're ready to stand in front of them and say, here's why you need to give me that money. So, additionally, we have office hours. Office hours will happen on Thursdays from 5:30 to 8. Or 5:30 to 8. They're not mandatory, but they are very beneficial. At those office hours, you can ask any questions you need to about your business, ask questions about what's going on in the course, whatever needs to happen, or whatever you have a question about, certainly bring that to the office hours. One of the things I ask, especially with a class this large, is if you can, send me your questions via email ahead of time. I'll make sure you have my email address. I'll drop it in the chat. It's on the presentation as well. And then we'll also make sure that's an email. But if you send those questions ahead of time, I can go ahead and pull resources, any additional information that you need to help you out and get the answers to your questions. Does anybody have questions on that? Nothing yet? I see a lot of introductions in here. This is great. I'm actually going to take some time this evening to read through all of these. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next. $1 million question. Which would you choose? Your business just got a contract to work for Chase Bank, and the contract amount is $45,000. You, as a business owner, have to decide between hiring a crew or doing the work alone. So which one would you choose? And either way you go, you can still make the timeline. Drop in the chat if you would do A or B. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now remember, A is only 5 of the helpers doing all the work. Option B is you're doing all the work and hiring somebody to do the paperwork. So you get to keep 40,000 in number for B. You get to keep 5,000, or excuse me, you get to keep 10,000 in option A, and you get to keep 5,000 in option B, or 40,000. I keep confusing you. You keep more money in option B, excuse me, option A. So you decide, do you keep all the money or do you pay people? And if you, let me see somebody on here, who can I pick? Deanna Anderson. Come off and tell me why you chose option A. Deanna. Okay, we're going to go to Fedora Hill. Tell me why you chose option B.
Good evening. I chose option B because a lot of time in work goes into paperwork. No matter what you're doing, there's always that paperwork that has to be done. And then I would pay them the 5,000. Actually, I would pay them a little bit more. However, paperwork takes a lot of time. You have to do the labor, but paperwork takes a lot of time.
And so you chose that because you want to be able to take care of that administrative assistant person?
Yes.
And what about you? What about the work you're doing?
I'd do the work, because sometimes when you have others doing the work, you still have to go behind them to make sure that it's done right. So instead of having
Okay.
to go behind them, if you do it and do it right the first time, you don't have to go behind to make sure that it's done the right way.
Okay. I hear you. Okay. Thank you. Ebony Hennings, can you come off and tell me why you chose option A?
I chose option A because with my business and what I do, it requires a lot of time. Like the labor is very time consuming because our products are personalized. So there's lots of cutting and designing. And so if I could give that task to someone else, that would save us a lot of time and energy.
Okay. All right. And how do you feel about only keeping $10,000?
I feel like I'm still making a profit, and I feel like in the long run that having that crew is going to be more beneficial to me because then I'm able to get more products out, more exposure. And so I feel like that money will come back to me in other ways.
I like it. All right, thank you. So we're gonna see here. Option A is the better option. Because when you are owning a business, you want to assume that owner role, not that worker role. When you are doing all the labor and all that work, if you think about it, in option B, you're going to have to do the work of 5 people by yourself, trying to collect $40,000. If you're able to do it all, you're going to be burned to such a crisp, you don't even have time to go out and find more work. When you are handing that work over to those helpers, that time that you would have spent working, you go out and find more contracts, just like this one from Chase Bank. Probably should have been Citizens if I'd been thinking about it. But you think about when you're sitting here trying to do all of that work, you don't get to do any of the business development. And your primary job as a business owner is to go out and find work for your employees. And when you're the only person in the business, you are your only employee. So you should be spending some of that time going out and finding more work so that you can build that business and grow it. And you're not just on this wheel of working, delivering the product, getting paid for the product, scrapping to find another job, and then doing that all over again. That this way you actually start building the business. Is everybody good on that? And seeing why it's option A? Does anybody have a question on why it's got option A?
I don't have a question. Maybe it's a question, but I just can't say that I would fully agree. So I run 2 different businesses. On one hand, I'm a private chef and I put on catering events. And on the other end, I'm a nutrition coach. And as a nutrition coach, a lot of the work that I do is plug and play. So I built up libraries of research and I have all these resources on hand. So when I get clients, it's very easy for me to just drop it in where it fits. Like I work for Buffalo Public Schools, actually as a cooking instructor. And I've been doing that for the last 5 years. I have a proposal is streamlined. All my recipes are streamlined. I can go in or I can send anybody in, but the work is done for me. So it's my face, it's my brand. So I'm getting contracts and calls because I am, either way, you have to do the work. Unless you are literally just the owner, either way, you have to do the work. And I'm in a position where I love the work that I do. So I can't really ultimately say that it would make more sense for me as a coach or as a cooking instructor, like a demonstration instructor, to pick A, because B is ridiculously easy.
How do you grow your business in that model?
In that model, I really was take care of the paperwork. The paperwork could be the person who's getting the contracts. If paperwork are like your proposals and all right, so give me 40,000 right now for this job. $5,000 paperwork person, go out and, send off the emails, because that's included in taking care of paperwork and making sure my licenses are straight, all that city hall work that I never want to do. And then when those things start coming in, because I am the face, I am my brand, then I'll choose option A, because I have a $40,000 cushion, and I'll sit back and just keep collecting the $10,000 residuals.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you are the person that has to do the work in your model, in your business model, not the example, how would you grow that if you have to be that person?
It's a temporary position. But I think to say that you always should choose A to suggest that you want to take the elevator and not the stairs. So I'm going to be grassroots in my business for a certain amount of time. I mean, I'm approaching year 11. So I do have chefs that will go out and teach my classes for me on occasion. But again, I love the work that I do. So I think you grow from B to A. I don't think you can just start with A.
You can start with A if you are buying a business, or you're building a business that is not, I think you said grassroots. So if you're not starting grassroots, you can start with A, but A should be definitely the aspiration for your business, because that your business should be designed to be a revenue generating asset, meaning your direct effort is not required for it to make money. If you get sick, if you go on vacation, if you just want to stay home and put your feet up, that business is still spinning off money. So that model should always be that you are building the business, building your capacity. And that's really, we're going to be talking about capacity in one of the squares on our business canvas. So that might give you a little more perspective, and you won't be able, if you're starting grassroots, you're correct. You will start out as the person doing the work. But the first opportunity and every opportunity you get to build and grow that business to where you can bring on others and get into that owner role, you absolutely should take that. Any other questions? Oh, someone else?
Sorry, Lauren, were you gonna say something? I saw you unmuted yourself.
No, I was just gonna say I agree, and thank you for offering that clarity and expanding on those two viewpoints.
Sure.
Awesome. Kim, I just want to pause real quick. Not ladies, I'm sorry. Somebody did tell me about that. So my apologies, folks. We do have a couple hands raised in the chat. So I just wanted to, before we move forward, if we could address those hand raises. And I know there was a question in the chat as well. Sarah, did you want to come off mute and ask your question? I see you have your hand up. Sarah Taylor.
Oh, why can't I see hand
Hi,
raised?
sorry. I was saying thank you so much, Kimberly, for that. Just thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
I am in that space right now where one of the biggest challenges was that I was doing everything and had limited capacity. So you are using the language that I'm using. I needed to learn how to bring on others so I can develop that business where my strength is. Connecting, convening, developing the business relationships is where my strength is. And I was bogged down in limited capacity and burning out and not able to deliver high quality products and run like a business owner. So thank you for that. I was struggling with going from A to B and reading that, but recognized one of my pitfalls was down at B when I really needed to shift to A. So
you're very welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, we have few more hand raises, and sorry, Kim, we'll move forward in
Sure.
just a
No, we've
few.
got time.
Awesome. So Dorcas Roman, if you want to come off of mute.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to add, because I have a construction company, so I do
Mhm.
have to agree with A, because I myself do all the work. So I'd rather have a crew, because if you see it and somebody that's in the field, you usually pay more, but you're getting the job done faster in order for you to jump to the next job. So you're not losing, you're actually gaining more, losing more time, because when you do it by yourself, you a job that's going to be a week is going to take you a month. So obviously paying a crew will be best, because that 10 months you're going to make it in less of a time than on something that you won't. So and that's where I'm at right now, building a team, because me, myself, and I can't finish the job on time. And then I have other clients, wanting to get the job done. And I'm like, I'm still stuck on this one because it's only me doing the job. So
Yep.
I have to agree that a crew is very important. And even though you have a crew, no matter what job, the boss or something has to come back and make sure that the job is being done correctly, especially in the construction field. It's not only the boss, the client has to agree, because the boss can say, okay, it looks good. But if it's not to the client's liking, the job is not done until the client is satisfied with the job being completed. So
Exactly.
that's
Exactly. Thank you for that perspective.
We'll just take two more, just because these folks had their hand up for a while. So Kiari, I hope I'm not butchering your name. If you can please bring yourself off mute, if you had a question or comment that you wanted to get across.
Yes, you pronounced my name right. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I was wondering, I don't want to take up too much time, but I wasn't able to get in before. If you could do like just maybe a 60-second summary on why the answer is A, because I just
Sure.
got in, it wouldn't let me in.
No problem. As you see here in the bottom, your job as the owner is to find work for your employees. So when you are trying to do all the work by yourself, you first of all are limiting your capacity immediately, because the job can only be as big as the amount of time you have to spend on it. Secondly, you are going to burn yourself to a crisp trying to do the work of 5 people, when you could be doing the business development, the relationships, going out and finding the contracts, so that by the time this job is done, you already have another contract for 40,000, 50,000. So you might actually be able to increase the amount of money you keep in your pocket, still with the same crew doing the same amount of work. So the idea as a business owner is to grow your business by bringing on people to do that work that you're doing as you're starting up your business.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, awesome. So there was a question in the chat, and y'all have been very, y'all are engaging a lot, which I love, but I also lost the question. So when I find it, I will come off a mute. And I do see there are 3 hands raised, Daddy Doyen, Chantel, and Jacqueline. We will get back to you. We just want to go ahead and move forward, but give us a few more minutes and we'll get right back with you. Go ahead, Kim.
All righty. Lots of good feedback. So now we're going to talk about developing that business state of mind. Oftentimes when we start a business, we come from being an employee. I'd say most of us used to be employees, going into our own business. Some of us are doing our business part-time. What that sometimes will result in is that we run our business the way that our supervisor, maybe our manager, might have run the business, but they're still employees. You need to start thinking, how do I run this business as the owner? What are some of the things that I need to be setting up as the owner? And that's that business owner mindset that you start to develop. What should I be doing that will increase the revenue that my business can make? These are called revenue generating activities or income producing activities. That's where your focus should be on a regular basis. I know some of us get up, I'm guilty, roll over, grab that phone, start looking in emails, start looking at social media, start looking at things that really don't have anything to do with the business. Well, what we really should do is start the day with a schedule. What am I doing in the business development area today? What am I doing for marketing today? What am I doing with my target customers today? What am I doing operationally today? What do I need to do from a human resources standpoint today? Those are things that, as we are business owners and we start to behave and think like business owners, that's where our focus should be. So you are going to create a business that will spin off that revenue so you don't have to do the work to get the money. So that's what that is, without earning revenue without your direct effort. You don't want to get into a situation where you think of a social media. I'm sure you've all seen a social media post where somebody says, oh, here I am washing this car. If you need your car washed, call me up, send me a DM. So all they're doing is basically posting this, waiting for people to come in and say, hey, I need my car washed. How much is it? Then I go and wash the car. And then I got to go back and post that car and hope somebody else contacts me to get their car washed. That's the inbound method of marketing. But once you get into that business owner framework, you're going to start being able to talk directly to your target customers and be able to speak to them in a way that they will be contacting you. And you don't have to go out and try to make sure that they know that you're out there, if that makes sense. So what you're going to be doing is thinking from a customer standpoint at all times. Who are my customers? What do they want? What do they need? What is the problem I'm solving for them? And how am I solving that problem? Does everybody have that? Any questions on that?
I think I will, while we wait to see if there's any questions, I did find the one that I was looking for. And Mayra Carrasquillo, she asked, how do you shift from solo entrepreneur to a full business with employees without starting with option B? So this is back to kind of what you were explaining previously.
Yeah, so one of the things that I would say is, I know that we all kind of get into our businesses because of what we love and what we like to do. We're going to be talking about our why very shortly here. But if you have a love for business, then you can step into pretty much any field and make money. If you think of it like Shark Tank, all those different various businesses that come through there, some of them, they're like, well, the business itself isn't a good idea. But some of them are saying, this is a good idea. I never thought of it. They have no background in it. They've never worked in it. And they said, I'm going to fund that. I'm going to go ahead and back you financially so that you can get out here and build this business, and you're going to basically spin off some of that money for me. So that's a large scale way of saying you can fall in love with business and find a way to start businesses that you don't have to work. If you know someone that does hair very well, you could say, I'm going to sponsor this person in their education. I'm going to send them to cosmetology school. And then every head they do, they're going to spend me off $20. That's a business. And that's a business that you haven't had to do any work in. You sponsored this person. Maybe you do some of their marketing, but they do all the work. That's just one example. But that's how you really are focused on a business. I see somebody that has a skill and ability that fills a need in the marketplace, and then I'm going to back that person.
All right, thank you, Kim. They're just want to call in the last two hands before we move forward. So first one that's been waiting a while, Daddy Doyen, do you want to take yourself off mute, ask your question or comment?
Sure, it's basically the same the same question. I have been running my business for about 2 years now, and it is definitely out of the box. Nobody's ever heard of it. Uh, and it's it's been it's been funded by me this whole time. Like I don't have any traditional financing. I'm applying for grants now. Um, but that's basically how I've run my business. So I kind of have no choice but to do the grassroots, thing. I have event cooks that I hire, and also I have a roster of different performers, artists, um, et cetera. And I would love to make that a model where I can secure a job or plan an event and just say, hey, like you and you take this job and we're gonna set this up over here, and whatever. I would like to move into that bracket of point A. um
What's your business?
I am the owner of the Kinky Cafe LLC. It is a BDSM themed catering and event business. It's not just a catering and event business, it's also a movement. We focus a lot on helping BIPOC and LGBTQ people realize that a lot of the inherited traumas that we experience can be confronted in a healthy way through principles and structures in BDSM.
And how do you make money? Who pays you?
Anyone that we put events together. I plan events, and people collaborate with me, like local burlesque troops and things like that will say, like, we want to put on this event for such and such time, and or to celebrate such and such a thing. We help with the theme, we make the food. I make the food. We serve the food, we provide entertainment, and that's how we make the monies.
Okay. Well, once we get to this canvas and we start writing that stuff out, fleshing that out, what I want you to think about is, who's your target customer? Who are those people that have a need for what you do? And I don't mean that in terms of who could have a need or who may have a need. I want to know, when you started this business, what was the problem that you sought out to solve, and who did you think you were solving it for, and how did they become a target customer? So once we get into the canvas, that's really going to be where we're really focusing on laying that whole landscape out. And that might give you a little more clarity on how you move into handing that work off so that someone else is doing the work and you're being the owner and doing the higher level work.
I just feel like, well, the thing is, I know that the biggest problem has been financing. That's it. Like, that's been the obstacle.
So let me suggest, though, if I could, that if you are able to speak to your target customers in the way that explains your value to them, they will pay you and you won't need outside financing.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
And we can lay all of that out. And again, once we have the office hours, if you need more clarification or specific information, I definitely would love to talk to you more about that.
I think so. I think I need more information.
Okay. Good.
Thank you. So Last person, Chantel, if you can come off of mute and ask your question. Jaslyn and Modolani, I see your hands up. We will get to you in a few minutes. And Jacqueline, I do see your question in the chat. We'll also get to that in a few minutes.
Okay, so I do have a quick question with regards to the business model and the path to getting to being a mogul. My business is rooted in being forward facing and in networking. I am in the business of supporting other businesses. So I am my brand. My business is built on the trust factor that the community of both my target market and the community has built within me. So for me, contracting out to 5 other people doesn't necessarily follow the business model that has worked for me for the past 6 years. So is that a linear route that you're putting forward that says you have to, in order to reach quote unquote ownership or boss status, that you have to delegate your services out? Because I am my brand. Black business is my business.
Right, but if you have a brand, your brand should be attached to your business, not your person. And if you've built that brand around the business, then you hire people who meet that brand and who represent that brand. And then they can go out and do all those, I won't say all, but most of the things that you're doing on your own, so that you could spend more time building those relationships and growing that business.
The business grows based on me building. That is my business is relationship building.
Correct. But so tell me what it is you do.
I write a Black business directory for Western New York and now into Toronto. So it's in the networking and the relationship building that I create with those business owners that allows me to continue expanding the directory and the reach of the directory.
How do you get paid?
Twofold. One, from the business owners from being members of the association, which allows them to be accredited as a brown bag certified business. And secondly, from the sales of the directory itself. And that's to the consumers.
So to me, it sounds like both of those things could be done by others. Both of the things that generate revenue for your business, you could hire those out. Building the relationships and bringing the people in to be business owners could still be within your purview, but the actual things that are done to make money could be delegated to others, and that you can then grow that. Because how would you expect to grow the business? Like, what is your vision for growing the brown bag directory?
The vision is ultimately scalability for it, and it's going to be done in an automated fashion.
Meaning that your business owners would explain that to me. What's the automation?
It would. When they submit to be a part of the directory, it's automated. The updates for the directory are done through an automated system. It comes in, it uploads into a file, it converts over. The next directory gets published. All those listings get published and printed into the next directory. The printing is automated as well, and it's done by drop shipping.
So again, it sounds like, if I'm understanding you right, all of those things could definitely be delegated to a system or delegated to a person. And then your part of it is that bringing those businesses to the brown bag to be part of the directory. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that's how you would grow that. You would move away from the mechanics of it and focus on the relationship portion.
Right. I'm asking, is that necessarily a requirement that I hire 5 people to do so, or the automation? Because that still leaves me doing most of the administration to set those things up, but I'm not hiring or delegating that out to 5 individuals. That automation still remains in-house.
Sure, but your automation could be, you could have someone else in charge of that automation. It doesn't have to be 5 people. You could have a system that does the work of 3 people and have 2 people, one managing the automation, one doing the administration. The goal, remember, The goal is for you to be the owner. And as the owner, there are some specific responsibilities that the business needs you to do that don't require you to be hands-on within that business all day, every day. Got it?
Chantel? Did we lose you?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I'm here. Yes. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. All right, Kim, so we are going to move forward. Folks, I do see your hands up. We will call on you in just a few minutes. We just want to make sure that we're being respectful of everyone's time and moving forward, but we will call on you.
All right. Next is the plan. Oh, I don't know how many businesses I've spoken to that just almost pass out when I ask about a business plan. A business plan doesn't have to be 60 pages with 40 charts, but it should be a plan. Because when you start without a plan, you do some of these things, spending money, building inventory on things that may or may not already be sold. Now you have to worry about carrying costs for that inventory, figuring out how you're going to get people to buy it. Meanwhile, you have to service the customers you have with inventory that you already had, that you also have to worry about storing. You are building social media with followers that may not be your target customer. So a large following on your personal page, great. When it comes to your business pages, social media pages, you should be speaking to your target customers there. They should be able to come there, see exactly who you are, see that you know who they are and what problem they have, and clearly showing how you're going to solve that problem. Your website, which I think everyone should have a website, your website should be another point of communication specifically for your target customer. And you need to be able to be clear on who that customer is before you create that website. That's part of what goes into your plan. And always I say, email is king. Yes, it's great to have followers. It's great to have people linking next to you. It's great to have all these people connected to you. But if those platforms go away tomorrow, a lot of people will lose all their business because they don't have any direct connection to those customers. Your your website should be a great place to collect emails so that you start to own the connection to your target customers. That way, when you have something to communicate, you're communicating through email directly to those customers without worry that someone's going to change an algorithm or something that will prevent you from being able to reach those people on a regular basis. So make a plan, and that plan should start with writing down the top 10, 15, 20 questions that you have as a business owner, and then make sure that plan answers those questions. It should be a living, breathing document that you refer to regularly that helps guide you when you start getting distracted by different things or just busy working in the business. That plan should be what tells you how you get back on track. Any questions on that?
Yes. Hi, this is Mina with
Hello.
Coaching. Hi, Kim. So where are the 20 questions? That's my question.
Those are your questions. What questions do you have specifically about your business that you can put in a plan? And once you get the questions, then we help you with the answers. But the questions are your questions.
Got you. Like who is, how to, all the questions.
Yes, like who's my target customer? How do I reach that target customer? What's the problem I solve for my target customer? How much should I charge my target customer? Those are questions you should easily be able to put into a plan.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
There are a few in the chat. So it says, let me see. It says, how do I know if my customers are just like me? That's one of Jacqueline's questions.
Your target customer depends on the business. And I'll say this, if you are starting a business based on a problem you had, then your target customers are a lot like you. Meaning, I'll give you an example. If I had trouble finding a good nail technician, and I decided to go into business myself because I got tired of going to these places that kept messing up my fingernails. I said, I'm going to learn how to do this and I'm going to do it myself. And then I decided to build a business off of that. Those customers are going to be, my target customers are going to be other people who were like me, frustrated with the existing nails technicians, trying to grow their natural nails and couldn't find anyone. But if you go the route where you're buying a business or sponsoring a business, then that business may be, you need to look differently at what made you see that business as a viable business. What was the hole in the marketplace that made you say, this business needs to exist, so I'm going to fund it? And I really want you to start thinking of business that way. It solves a problem in the marketplace. So being able to figure out where you fit in that, what is the problem your business solves in the marketplace, that will give you a big indicator of who your target customer is.
Awesome.
Can I just, this is Jacqueline. I just want to ask, my question really was in reference to the, I don't like emails. Like, I don't check my emails. I don't want to communicate that way. It doesn't work for me. How do I know my customers are not feeling overwhelmed because everything is mailed through email and you just get exhausted with it?
Well, I will tell you, when you're speaking directly to your target customer, you don't have to do, it doesn't have to be daily. You could have a system where you set up once a week, I'm going to give you a tip, or once a week, I'm going to tell you about something that happened in the business, or talk about the problem that they have as your target customer. It doesn't have to be regular, but I will tell you that you want to be able to control your communications with your target customer. And as much as I get emails, I'll tell you, I probably have a dozen email addresses that I check regularly. I do have others. So I know, I get it. It's a lot of email. But for the ones that are, when I'm connecting to target customers, those are very different. They matter more because we're having a real conversation about the target or the problem and the solution to their problem. It's not like spam. It's not like, oh my gosh, here's another sales email. It's not that. You can have a monthly newsletter and that's your email with your target customer. But you should have some way of owning the communication with your target customer that does not involve social media platforms. There are programs out there like MailChimp, Constant Contact, where you can set schedules and it automatically sends it out, and you once a month have to sit and manage that.
I'm just gonna jump in here now that you asked for my 2 cents, but
Go
there
right ahead.
is email marketing. And I know I've seen a lot of questions, or I'm sorry, comments in the chat talking about how important email marketing is. There is something called a funnel. And Jacqueline, I know email is not, you're not a fan of it, and I understand. But there's a way to basically funnel these clients, right? So like Kim said, maybe it's a monthly newsletter saying, okay, here are just like the top 3 things that you should know that are going to solve your problem. Or, maybe there is a product, a new product that you're, getting out. The idea with the funnel is that it puts them in different buckets depending on what their need is, like what their interest is, in terms of your communication. So, you know, for Pathstone, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out. And the reason why we tell people to sign up is because that's how you guys find, not guys, sorry, I will get better at this. That is how you all, one of the ways that you all find out about our programs, right? So we talk about, this is a program that's happening in March, or this is a grant that's available for small business owners. This is a new business that has opened up in your region. So, you know, it's not to bombard people with that. And, you know, if with that information, you can then see your analytics to see if people are opening your email. If they haven't opened the last 5 emails that you've sent, you can essentially reach out as like a touch point, say, hey, are you still interested in these 3 things that you signed up for before? If you're not, you know, unsubscribe or tell us what you're interested in. So there is a way to do it. Again, I know everyone is not crazy about emails, but there is a way to go about it. And I just want to call on Jaslyn. I know she's had her hand up for a while, and then we'll go ahead and ask Modolani and Daddy Doyen in a few minutes. We're actually going to take a break in 2 minutes, so we can answer those in 2 minutes. But Jaslyn, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, mine is not a question. I'm just going to go back to the question A and B again. So my name is Jaslyn. I have a commercial cleaning company. I did find myself trying to do all the work, and it was a lot of wear and tear on my body. I was exhausted. And what I did was I took advantage of what we had in our community. We know that we have a lot of kids. We know we have programs that are funded to pay for our kids, like Buffalo Urban League, Summer Youth. So I just took advantage of those opportunities to help me move on to my next step. But I enjoyed it so much, I just continued working with the youth. So like
Good.
the money that's coming in is just basically just pouring right back into the business and into the kids. So yeah, that's something that I did.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Kim, if you want to, I don't know if you want to wrap this part up before we take a quick break. You let me know what you'd like to do.
I think we finish up with this slide. So we can take our quick break, 15 minutes, come back. I usually do cameras off, mics off. I will take this time to kind of go through the chat, see if there's anything in there that I can just answer right there inside the chat. So if you want to drop your question in there, if you didn't get to come off mic, I can do that during the break. And then we'll come back and pick up with the presentation.
Awesome. So I will call on the 2 folks that have had their hand up for a while. And as Kim said, everyone else, if you want to take the time to, you know, go get some water, get a snack, whatever floats your boat, feel free to do so. But we just want to make sure we kind of address folks' questions. All right, Modolani, I hope I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, please correct me.
Yeah, no, you said it right. So
Okay.
I guess my question is just that so I'm a student, and as well as being a student, I'm like trying to write a business plan, compete in pitch competitions, post 3 times a day on like the business's blog to try and like get more people to look at the blog, so that when I eventually launch the website, I have that community of people that are willing to buy the products. So it's a virtual marketplace that allows African expatriates or Africans in the diaspora to buy products from back home that they're used to using, because it's very difficult to get it because of very high shipping costs. And it's just like a lot to do for like me, because I'm only 21 and there are like 4 different things that I'm trying to do, mainly because it's not even a business yet, it's just an idea. So I was just wondering if you had any like advice about like how I could juggle everything.
Well, what are the other things that you have going on?
So like I'm a student, and then I'm trying to compete in like school-led or like different types of pitch competition. So I'm writing slide decks, I'm writing 15-page business plans whilst trying to do homework and trying to take care of myself as well. And then trying to write 3 blog articles as well. And just like create other content for the business as well, like post on the Instagram, post on the LinkedIn page, contact potential brands that might like to be on the website, figure out financing. I'm terrible at math. I've never been good at math. I don't even understand finance. So doing that is also a bit of a struggle as well. And I'm trying to get other people to help me. Like my school has a launch pad, so I've been working with them and other people who've kind of started their own businesses to help with things that I can't do. But I just wonder how, like, obviously it's not a business yet, so I can't get any employees. Do you have any advice as to how I could like convince other people to help me, even if it's just with like posting the blog posts? Like I'd write them, they just have to post them 3 times a week.
Well, I would suggest a couple of things. First thing that comes to mind is systems. What systems can you use to automate some of that so that you're not having to do all of that? What kind of like Hootsuite that you can create posts ahead of time and then they just shoot those out to your social media outlets on scheduled days, scheduled times. How do you use things like what is that one that it's not Chat GPT. That's another one that you can use to help you with content. But there's another one that will help you with writing. I'll look that up, make myself
Grammarly?
a note. That up. No, it
Social
will
media?
help generate content for you.
Is it
Uh,
Chat GPT?
that's a new one. There was one before that I'll look it up. Content creation. I'll look that up. Someone sent that to me. But those are things you can do that don't require people and don't require you to pay them. You look for systems that will take some of those tasks off your plate. And I would say, as far as the pitch competitions, I would maybe put those to the side until you've got that model perfected for what it is you're trying to do. The time that you're spending on the pitch competitions probably would be better used building that marketplace and finding those people who want to be part of that marketplace, and maybe coming up with a way that they pay some sort of surcharge that kind of pays your fees and takes care of your costs for that business to be a part of that marketplace. But we can also talk more about that if you want to join the office hours on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for your question. All right, and I see Daddy Doyen, you have your hand up. Did you want to come off mute?
I just wanted to, I think I had another question before this, but then I just dropped another question in the chat. But I guess 2 things. I'm working on my business plan now because I was terrified of it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I first started, and now I'm working on rewriting it. And I guess the first thing links with what I dropped in the chat. I do know my target audience. The problem is I'm afraid that the customers where the money is are like people that I might not necessarily want to have be my customers. You know what I mean? Like, I think for one, people hear BDSM and they automatically think like dark dungeons and whipping and all the pain and da 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 da. And it's like, that's not what I'm trying to get across to you. And I would really like to be able to tell you what I'm trying to get across to you in a concise manner, but it's like really hard. And then, you know, like I said before, when I started this, the target was BIPOC and LGBTQ people, and the customer base right now is BIPOC and LGBTQ people, and they continue to be BIPOC and LGBTQ people. But then there are others that reach out to me and I see their associations, or I see like, you know, and like one of the biggest things that I have going for my business is the fact that I create safe spaces. And sometimes dealing with people who have the money can become really tricky when it comes to that, because I've seen a lot of people, especially in my own community, that um associate with the businesses of neo-Nazis and things like that. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not about that. Like,
Right.
how would you
Well,
recommend kind of like navigating around that without sounding so militant that you're like, yo, like, I hate you all. Like, like,
well, I want you to think about it like a car.
uh-huh.
So Ford and Mercedes are they're both cars, but they have two very different target audiences.
Right.
And so anybody could drive a Ford or a Mercedes, but within that large number of people, they have decided they can target specific people. And that's what I want to challenge you to do. You've talked about a very large community of people who you said is your target customer, but within that community, who is your real target customer? Who are the people who really are the ones who will respond to the brand of your business that you're trying to develop? And that's where you really want to work in that plan. And again, we can talk more about that at the office hours, but it sounds to me that what your first step is really narrowing that community down to your true target customer.
Okay. I understand. Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. These are the aha moments that we are all going to get throughout these 7 weeks. I do see Lashana Rogers. So there were 2 questions from Lashana. One was going back to the first, A and B segment. Says, how would I go about that when making and packaging products? Because I personally make them. Should my goal be to teach 3? And then she says, I'm sorry, should my goal be to teach others the product recipes?
Yes, I'm
Lashana,
sorry. Yes.
if you're okay, I'm like, if you could come off and maybe clarify.
Yeah, I had like a little typo. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But yeah, so like I was wondering, like, because like while we were talking about like hiring people and like getting into that business mindset, so like I'm just wondering, like, when making your own products and packaging them, like, just like how would I go about making that transition?
What's your product?
Like bath products and skin products, face scrubs, body scrubs, lip scrubs, bubble bath soaps, usually like natural, like kind of soaps, like turmeric, stuff like that.
And are you generating enough revenue to hire people?
No, not at the moment. I'm like still in like beginning stages.
So what I would say to you is you're going to want to, again, think of it as a business model. Overall, how do you want that business to be structured? And then say, okay, right now, because I can't afford to hire people, I have to do these things. But then I have through this plan, I've calculated how much money I need to bring on, say, 1 person. That 1 person is going to be in charge of all the packaging and everything after you've done the creation and you made everything, all the recipes. Once you've made all that stuff, that person is then going to take it and put it in the jars, put the labels on it, mail it to people, and take care of all of that stuff. Okay. Then as you get and start growing that person, and now you've got some more efficiencies, you've expanded that capacity, you can sell more. Now you say, oh, maybe I'm going to bring on another person. I'm going to promote that person I hired that's been with me for some time. And there, I'm going to make a big vat of it so I don't have to give away my recipe right away. Maybe I'm going to put the special ingredients in, and then they put the normal or the common ingredients in there. And then they're going to make that up. And then the new person I hired will scoop it out, put it in the jars and put the labels on. And then you start to build it up that way. so that you will eventually need some trusted person or some sort of process to make those unique ingredients and put those into your products so that you're not giving away all your secrets, and then have people do the things that don't require that knowledge, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you for asking your question, Lashana. There is Kim. I know you have not taken a break, so if you
Oh,
need
I'm good.
I'm like, if you need to take a break. There is someone in the chat that asked, Tiffany. All right, Tiffany Campbell says, what is the best platform to spotlight your business? So Facebook, Instagram, blogs, emails, website, putting up flyers in the laundromat, etc., for someone who shies away from social media. So I'm just going to add my 2 cents in here, like you will see me do. I'm just going to sprinkle it in occasionally. So Tiffany, I would say it depends on who your target market is, right? So if your customer tends to read more blogs, tends to, really buy products or services based on blogs, then that's something that you are going to want to consider doing. Same thing, right? If Instagram is the way to go, that's where you find your customers. Make sure that you are posting on Instagram. Make sure that you are reaching out to them. It really is based on where your customers shop, basically, for lack of a better term. Not everyone is crazy about social media. I am one. I don't like it. It's an evil necessity, but it is what it is, right? You just do the best that you can with what you have, and you do not have to be on all of the platforms, because that is a real easy way to burn out. So just really think about your target market, and you will figure it out. Kim, is there anything that you wanted to add to that?
What she said.
Awesome. I see one person that has their hand in the chat up, or not in the chat, but participants. Laurencia, before I call on you, I just want to reiterate for anyone that maybe have gotten kicked off the call, has had some issues with their internet or whatever the case is, or joined late, which was part of our problem. So one, sorry for the inconvenience in the beginning. We did not expect such a large crowd, which this is amazing. But what happened was we didn't realize that we had reached our limit of participants. So we had to upgrade the plan. So sorry about that. But if you have joined late or whatever the case is, and you notice that your name says iPhone, iPad, whatever few characters that you have, if you can please rename yourself to your full name, so that we can make sure that we account for your attendance in today's session. We do take attendance on these sessions, so that you can then be eligible to participate in the pitch competition. That's it. That's all I have to say. Laurencia, please feel free to come off mute and ask your question.
Good evening. Good evening. So I have to state I am a returning participant in this class. So this is my second time here. I'm very glad that I have this opportunity to be here. My question or statement that I find that I'm still struggling with is just learning that I have so many ideas, and which one to start with, which one to model for. I'm feeling like I have maybe 3
Saying 3 different target markets for one business.
So I consider myself a virtual personal assistant, so that's supporting business owners with their operations. But I'm also a nanny. So my footwork right now is that personal assistant as a nanny, but I want to pivot into virtual. So that's just doing my data entry, customer service, different daily positions with the business. So I'm just having that struggle with target market and audience.
I would say your focus should be on the problem that you see in the marketplace and your ability to solve that problem. So of those different ideas, figure out which one has the problem that is the biggest need, because the bigger the value you bring to the marketplace, the more money you make for your business.
Okay.
So which one has the biggest need and which one are you most uniquely situated to solve? And then
Okay.
focus on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for asking your question, Laurencia.
Yes, thank you.
We are about to get started, so everyone, break is over. But before we do that,
Right.
hold on a second. If you just make sure that you are muted. There was one person that has been patiently waiting here, and I am probably gonna butcher your name, so I'm so sorry, but it says Timbera Ware. If you can come off mute.
Hi, yes, I put it in the chat. I was just saying that I'm a writer, so I don't have a problem that I target specifically. It changes all of the time because I do stage plays and whatnot, and so there's always a lesson at the end. So one play might be about parenting, one play might be about love, so it's constantly changing. So what advice would you have for that?
Because you're in the entertainment business, it's not so much of the individual work of art that you're looking at. You're looking at from a standpoint of why are people coming to my plays? What makes them come to my play? Even if it's not just, you're not going to have somebody says, well, I only go to the comedies that she writes, or I only go to the dramas that she writes. People connect to you through your art, and there's a common theme there. You have to identify what that is, and that's the problem that you're solving. And then who has that problem? Look at your people who come to your shows already. Think about the people who are supporters of your shows, who promote your shows. What is it that they are saying you are uniquely good at when it comes to your works of art? And that's your target customer. And that's the problem you're solving for them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Kim, we can get started, and then I'm just gonna repeat this one more time. If you please take us just a quick second to look at your name under the participants. If your full name is not listed, can you please at least either rename yourself or change it, change it so that it does show your full name, or put your full name in the chat for us, please. That way we can go ahead and make sure that we mark you in attendance for today's session. Just want to make sure I get that out. I do see a few people still. There's like a phone number, there's, a couple characters. So there's a couple things there. I just want to make sure that we're not wondering if you made it to class or not. Thank you so much. All right, Kim.
All right. Now we're about to get into the real meat and potatoes of this. I don't know how many of you have heard of a business model canvas, but that's been around for some years. And the standard business model canvas really assumes a certain level of business activity. So I created one that's really more focused on us early stage businesses. Really, as you can see, the canvas is divided up into 3 sections, and the right side focuses on your customers and your revenues. The left side focuses on operations and costs, and that center, that sweet spot, is right where your offer is. Regardless of your business, you have an offer, because that's what people are accepting and paying you for. So this will help you really lay out the foundational information for your business that you want to build your business around. And it all really starts with that offer. So we're about to dive into that. that sweet spot. What is your why? What is your wow? Your why is not why you started the business. Your why is that driver that drives you in everything you do. Your why comes from your core. I'll give you an example. My why is that I believe that we are all our own greatest resource. And that's why I got into training. I got into the business of training to be able to help people tap into that in their own, with their own selves, and recognize that they are their own greatest resource. I believe my family and friends are their own greatest resources, which is why I don't give them any money. They can do that on their own. Don't come living with me. Don't ask me for money. You got it. But when we talk about that why, it is across everything. It is the foundation of the culture of your business, whether you are aware of it or not. Because you can't, when you start that business and you build that culture around that business, you are not able to separate yourself from that because it came from you. So you need to identify what that why is so that you can then make sure that everything you do in your business speaks to that why, because that is what your target customer is responding to when they do business with you. I'll give you another example. I don't know the exact why for Charming Charlie. My favorite store is gone. I'm sorry, moment of silence. I used to walk into Charming Charlie and I felt at home right away. Chandeliers, sparkly things, all colors separated. That was my jam. So the why for Charming Charlie spoke to me, even though Charming Charlie didn't know who I was. When you build your business and you set those things up, people will respond to that because it matches their own why. So it's really important to know what that is. Also to the point that your employees will want to work for you because they respond to your why. And we have an exercise, I think I have it still, I'll send that out to you, that really helps you narrow down what is that why for you. And then what is your wow? A lot of other people call it your unique value proposition, unique selling proposition, but you want to know what benefit that I give through my business that makes people go, wow. They may not go, wow, literally, but they will go, wow, when they spend the money with you, because they know that you are providing them with a benefit that they can't get elsewhere. If you think of all the different products and all the different things that you use, is there a difference between Jergens and Nivea? Maybe, maybe not. But they position it such that, you know, I use this product, this lotion for this problem, and I use this lotion for that problem. And they both probably could be used interchangeably. But they've developed a language and a way of speaking to that customer to say, this is what makes us special. You need to know that about your business. What makes it special for your target audience? Does anybody have questions on that?
We do have one person with their hand up. Keisha, did I pronounce that correctly? Keisha Henson?
No, it's actually Kiosha.
Ah, dang. All right. I'm sorry, Kiosha. All right. What's your question?
That's okay. So I just have a question. So I started my business 3 years ago when everything was online. So I have no problem with showing up online and generating leads online. But my ultimate goal for starting my business was to help my community. So now my struggle is generating those leads where I'm in person and getting speaking events and things like that. So I see that one of the questions was, how do you generate leads? And I generate them online, but I would prefer to do, not prefer, but I guess I want to combine it with in-person events as well. And that's my struggle, getting that in-person and that online thing to go together, if that makes sense.
What's your business?
I'm a life coach for moms.
and you are looking to generate leads in person, that you're not able to generate leads in person?
So what I want to do is I want to do more workshops in person and more in-person events for moms to kind of get them together and build community in Buffalo. But I do these things online through Zoom, but obviously, you know, in person is building community, and it's in my opinion, for my business model, that's what I want. So it's just me trying to get how it would look to get organizations to come on board with having me come to their place and maybe host events, if that makes sense. So like daycares, for example, daycares have tons of moms that need support. So it's, do I send an email to a daycare offering my services, or how would that look to get in there and help moms in specific places, if that makes sense?
It makes sense. And I would say a couple of things. First, I get that you want to have more in-person events, but is that what your target customer wants? That's something you want to take a look at. And then if you have a place that, say you have 3 customers who are using a specific daycare, to your example, you might go to that daycare and say, listen, 3 of your moms already are my clients and have been through my workshops. I'd love to do a workshop to expose this to and help more of your moms, and right here at your place to kind of boost your clout, if you will, with the daycare. Does that sound something like we could work together on that? But I would start with saying, making sure that your customer wants to meet in person and do in-person events.
Got it. Yeah, I do. I've hosted in-person events and people always ask me to host more, but I think I want to do it more in an environment of people that are already gathered. So a daycare, you're already gathered there. If we're looking at a group home, right? Moms already are struggling with raising their children. So I kind of want to meet the moms where they are, where I guess I understand that my ideal client may not necessarily know they need me yet. So I want to show up and with the problem that I know they're experiencing, to get them to say, hey, she's talking to me. So I know how to do that online. I mean, I have no problem doing that online, but I guess it's just like in person and getting my foot in the door is where I struggle.
Sounds like, if I'm understanding what you just said, that you have the model for generating the leads. You just need places that have the audience already,
right,
to be able to kind of say, how can I get in front of your audience to build more customers? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. Kind of like hack their audience and give them something that maybe they're not able to provide.
And that's the way you do it. You present that to them to say, I can help you build, or not build your business, but I can help you support your business with my business, because your audience needs what I have, and I can work with you by presenting these to your audience that you already have. But it has to be a give and take. So what is that organization going to get in exchange for allowing you to access their audience?
Okay, that makes sense. So then that's up to me to do that research to see how I can meet them with my problem, or with the problem.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Kiosha. So just to give you a heads up, there are a few really good ideas in the chat. So just make sure you kind of scroll through that. And then we'll call on one more person before we kind of move forward. I do see there are 3 total hands up. We're going to call on Vernique, and then we'll get to Kiari and Maida in just a few minutes. Vernique, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I am the owner of Very Unique Salon and Gift Boutique. And so my question is, how do I apply this to other stylists to have them ground themselves in my salon? And because it's a different type of salon, it focuses on locks, natural hair, and building confidence through your journey. I have a bunch of different target audiences because I also introduce the creative aspect So I'm able to educate you about your locks, but on the same aspect, we can sit down and do a paint and sip. So I have two different aspects of the company, or maybe more, because we also produce growth oils, other hair products. So I'm trying to see, I have been able to be in business for 5 years now, which is, definitely a blessing, but I'm ready for growth. And so I'm trying to find the direction so that I can build a team, and then work on focusing more on the target and branding and marketing.
Well, my first thought is to separate the paint and sip, because that's a totally different market, totally different message, and a totally different problem you're solving, if you will.
So would you separate the whole gift, like the whole gift boutique portion from the salon?
Yes, because again, that is a different problem that's being solved with a gift boutique. So if you're focused and you're wanting to know how to build that stylist, you're grounding the stylist in that, that's a branding thing. As you build that culture in your business, in your salon, and you start with that target customer, making sure you're constantly speaking that language, understanding their needs, understanding the problem that they have and that the way that you can solve it, and bringing on stylists who understand and respond to that, you become the place to go to for people with that problem. And because you have those customers, you'll naturally attract stylists who can help solve that problem and who match your culture.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks for your question, Veronique. So I only see one hand up in the chat. We're gonna get to you in a few minutes, Kiari. Kim, you can go right ahead.
Okay. As we talked about problem solving, this is really the core of where you want to start with a business, building a business. It truly is about solving a problem in the marketplace. Before you were a business owner, you were a customer, and you're somebody's target customer, more than one business's target customer. So think of it like a customer. When you have a problem, how do I solve it? Is it a vitamin or a pain reliever? And what that means is January 1, I am always talking about starting to take vitamins. Sometimes I make it all the way to March, but somewhere along the line, I say I'm going to take vitamins. I forget a day, then it's 2 days, then it's 2 weeks, and suddenly I'm not taking vitamins anymore. And I know I should. I tell myself I should. I just don't. Now, pain reliever, I have Aleve everywhere I go, because these knees are Aleve knees, and I have it in my purse, in my desk, in my bedroom, in my bathroom, and no one's going to separate me from Aleve. So no matter what, I'm going to find a way to get that. That's what you want your business to be. You don't want it to be a business where people go, yeah, I should, or maybe I'll call them, or I think they can solve my problem. You want people, when they have that problem, to think of you and take action to reach you, be that going to your store, going to your website, emailing you, whatever it takes to reach you. That's where you want to be in the marketplace. Because again, the greater value you bring as a solution to your customer, the more revenue you'll generate. It is directly connected. So you want to make sure that your solution is part of a problem for enough people. You don't want it to be something where you are, I'll use this example. If you really like to organize shoes and your shoe collection is just beautiful and people that come by and admire your shoe collection, but are enough people going to pay you to do that for their shoes for you to make a business out of it. Your business should start from a customer focus. What is the problem the customer has? And then how am I uniquely positioned to solve it? Because that's what people are going to pay for. And then you want to think of how you solve it. Is it unique? And that uniqueness can be in the delivery of it. It could be in the packaging of it. It could be in your customer service. It doesn't have to be in the actual product or service. If you have a cleaning business, you don't have to have any special cleaners. You could just have a very care plan. You can have a care plan for the people when you come to their homes that details all the products that you use when you clean their house, and some recommendations for them to maintain that. That's easy to do, doesn't add any additional cost to your business, but makes your customer feel like you understand the problem that they have. Features and benefits. This is an easy way to remember that. Features tell, benefits sell. If you think of the difference between an Apple commercial and for the iPhone and a Droid commercial, you know, they talk about, now, by the way, I'm a Droid fan, so just so you know, they talk about the specs, the processor, the camera speed, the glass, the pens, all that stuff. And that's great. But Apple shows you how you can use it. They put it in the hands of the target customer and they show you how you use that. When Siri first came out, you had the guy jogging in the park saying, "Hey, Siri, call the doctors and make me an appointment for 2:00 on Wednesday." And you had an appointment for 2:00 on Wednesday. The woman's packing, "Siri, what's the weather in San Francisco? Oh, you might want to wear a jacket because it's going to be cool." I don't need to know the specs. I know I need that right there because I'm going to San Francisco next week. So that's where you want to be, talking about the benefits of your product or service to your target customer. That's how you explain how you are solving their problem. Focus on the benefits. Does anybody have questions? Nope.
I don't.
All right.
Yes, Lauren.
Oh, there you go. I heard someone come off mute.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a.
It's Laurencia. I'm sorry.
All right. I'll just be quick, but Kimberly, I absolutely love the way the analogy when you talk about the benefits. And for me, I'm a paparazzi consultant and I sell jewelry. So the benefit of me selling that jewelry online or selling it to the customer, one, they don't have to go into the store, and two, I can accessorize that outfit that they might, they're looking for accessories, and the benefit is them shopping with me. Thank you for that.
You're welcome, but I would also add that benefit is that confidence, that self-esteem that they get when they go out and being able to coordinate that look, because a lot of paparazzi jewelry is more than just a single piece. You can get the necklace, the earring, the bracelet. So think about how what that means to your customer to be able to have that. Those are the real benefits.
All right. Thank you, Theodora. And then Laurencia, you had a question?
I don't think it more so was a question. It was more of an agreement. And having her reiterate, you were saying the customer, I had lost my train of thought, so I can't even ask what I was going to ask because I lost it. But I know it's basically meaning the customer is the front, like you were saying, start with the customer. So yeah, okay.
Yes.
No
worries. That happens to me all the time, Laurencia.
Like what? There's so much. I'm trying to keep up. I'm like, wait, what did you just say? That was so good. I apologize. I'm at work. Next Tuesday, I will be prepared, but I'm trying to work and keep up. So yes, I'm here. So
no problem.
No
All right,
problem.
Tim, go. Oh, wait, I do see a hand up. Kareen, you want to come off mute? I see the hand
Can
and
you
you're
hear
still
me?
on. There you go. Now we
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay, good. Hi, guys. Thank you for
Hello.
taking my questions. So my issue, I guess you can call it an issue right now, is well, my name is Kareen Merritt. My business name is Kareen Caribbean Cuisine. I'm a
Kareen,
private chef.
Kareen, sorry to interrupt, but you sound kind of muffled and far away.
Oh, so I have my headset on, so I think that's why I sound
That's
so
better.
bad. Is that a little better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I am a private chef. So I guess you can say a little bit of my issue is I finally got a space. But when I originally got the space, I thought that I was going to have a kitchen, and I didn't. It is not a working kitchen. So I have to completely convert it to a different um, business now. So I think like shifting the model and trying to promote both my private chef and then now that I'm like a self-care coach and doing that as well. I don't know if I should maybe start a whole new like social media, a whole new presence, or if I can kind of like push it in with what I already have like going because I'm already starting. I have that already flowing the private chef part. So I don't know. I think trying to differentiate both, but kind of put it together at the same time is what's confusing me on what my target market is right now.
Well, when you're thinking of it from, and I apologize, I didn't quite catch the details of that, but I would say that when you're thinking of the business, again, it really needs to be about the problem. What's the problem that your business solves? And could you solve that problem in a very unique way by combining the two? Or would that lead to just confusing your target customer if they're thinking they're coming to you for a private chef and they're getting something healthcare related? So you really have to understand that problem and then attack it from that standpoint.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for your question, Kareen. There is one last person with their hand up. It says iPhone. If you can come off mute and tell us who you are, and I can go ahead and rename this as well for you. Going once, going twice. Let me try this. Someone on their iPhone, you have your hand up. Did you want to put it in the chat or come off mute? Okay. Put it in the chat. We're gonna move forward then. Again, if I don't know what your name is, I can't mark you present for today's class. So if there's a way to put your name in the chat or
It's my phone and it's being stupid.
okay. What's your name?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We heard your phone is being stupid. It's okay.
Yes, I'm so sorry. This is Nia Badger. I'm owner of MMW Style Studio. I actually was in already, put my name in, and my phone died. So I had to get back in, but I have no clue what's going on. It's being really weird.
No worries. I just changed your name, Nia.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
My
welcome.
question is, I'm pretty sure who and what type of problem I solve, but this is kind of a general question for everybody. And also, like, as your company evolves, if you've been doing this for any amount of time, how do you find out what the problem is without asking and being obvious and asking your target customer or asking potential customers?
Have you ever done any type of surveys with your customers?
No, I've kind of asked them, and being that I've talked to them for some time, I'll just come right out and ask what they're looking for. And a lot of times they tell me what they're looking for specifically. But Okay, so I see you're going there like with surveys. Okay.
Well, I'm just asking if you haven't, it's a good tool, but another way to determine the problem is by listening to their reviews. Do they give you testimonials or reviews?
They do actually.
So
They
when you
do.
go through there and they say, man, that was a great thing that they did for me and it helped me do X, or now I'm feeling better because of this that I got from here, that's them telling you that you solved the problem for them.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because I own a clothing boutique. And one thing I've always struggled with in a business is that it's so personal driven. And I've always not known how to successfully separate myself. So what I would like to eventually see my boutique become, people who are shopping without necessarily having me put together or styled it or have a conversation about it. But it's been so personality driven, it's kind of hard. And let me tell you this, not that I dislike it or anything. I love the interaction. I love speaking with people, but it's also a little counterproductive to growth.
Absolutely. And I will say to you and to all of you as business owners, especially as you really begin to grow, when you want to really separate access, then you attach a fee to that. That will really automatically cut the number of people that will take you up on that. But the more access they have to you, the more they have to pay. So you can say you can shop on your own for another $75. I will just pick some things for you, or I will help you from the things that you've selected. I will help you figure out which ones you need to buy. But for $150, then I will be your personal shopper and help you put that together.
That's great.
So you push that access back by putting a fee in between you and that customer. And that's reasonable because you're adding a lot of extra value by putting that style together for them.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I've actually offered styling services and I've offered all of this before. However, if I can be honest, I've been a little bit fearful, not necessarily the styling, but I've had a store for 7 years. People have come in, we've talked, we've had relationship. People have become friends and family. If I can be honest, I was a little fearful to break some of that off with cost because it was almost as if maybe that's even why they were shopping. So I would really, if anybody else in this on this Zoom call is dealing with this, I would even love to hear what you say, Kim, about that because it's very personality driven.
So the one thing I would also say is to be able to build that into the culture of your store so that they get that with anybody that works there. Do you have employees?
I did, and even though I had standard operating procedures, it never failed. Everybody always said, "Where's Nia?" They would call me, "Nia, we came into the store today. We didn't see you." And I know that the young ladies took great care of them, but they were like, "We didn't see you. You've talked with us, you've cried with us, you've prayed with us." And I really am really trying. That is one of my main goals, to really get the focus off of, I want the brand to still be me and what I offer in terms of, everything that is, but the people to shop independently of me.
So you have to just figure out another channel for them to get that. Maybe once a month, you hold like a sip and shop where people
Yeah.
can come in, those trusted customers, but that's not open to everybody. You would keep that for those customers that you've built that relationship with, but new customers, that fee goes in the middle so that you don't keep building that same situation. And then for those trusted customers that you want to keep that relationship with, you still will minimize that. I don't have the time to do this for you whenever, but once a month, you can come in and get that service.
Amazing, Kim. That's really an amazing idea. And honestly,
Good.
it's just, it's confirmation because it's something I've already mulled around. But to be honest with you, it was just fear for losing what I've built. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure, anytime.
Thanks for your question, Nia.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so we ready to move on?
Yes, we are.
Okay, because we've talked a lot about target customers tonight. And this is sort of an illustration to kind of help you narrow that down, because you should have the same sort of idea, that same squish down. And Daddy, we talked about this a little bit, taking that large community and squishing it down to your actual ideal customer. And I'm greedy, so I always use food in my examples. This is like Burger King. Burger King says, we want to sell, our target customers are people who are hungry, but they don't want to cook. So when you think of that audience, that's a big audience. And those people in that audience could choose a lot of different ways to eat without having to cook. So they said, okay, we're going to narrow that down even more. We're going to say we want people who are hungry and don't want to cook, that want fast food. Well, that drops off some things, but you still have a lot of people right in there. You've got Wendy's, you've got Pizza Hut, you've got sandwich shops, a million different things they can still choose in the fast food arena. So they said, let's take it down even further. We want people who are hungry, who don't want to cook, who want a fast food burger. So now we got down there, but we still aren't in that sweet spot. When you think of what Burger King sells as their unique value proposition, that's where they're talking to that target customer. They said, we want people who are hungry, don't want to cook, who want that fast food burger, but who want a flame broiled fast food burger. So they make sure that those commercials show those flames, has that sizzle, draws those black lines across those burger patties. They want to make sure that you understand that we have something that you're not going to get at McDonald's or Wendy's. You're going to get a flame broiled burger. So what's your flame broiled burger? What's that special sauce in the middle that says, this is why my customers come to me? We're going to talk a lot about target customers next week. But right now, I want you to start thinking about, how do I squeeze that community down to that ideal customer? And I don't want you to think about people who can or cannot buy from you, because that's not what it's about. Your ideal customer is the one most likely to buy from you because your solution fits their problem. When you look at commercials, commercials will tell you who their target customer is. If you think of a retirement financial institution that sells retirement products, in this day and age, people can retire at 20, 30 because they've made money on YouTube or whatnot. So they still need a place for retirement funds. But when you look at the commercials, they're older couples, grayer hair, they don't look like they're ready to hit the club with their dividend money. They're telling you that these are the people who are most likely to come and buy from them. So that's who they talk to. When you look at a Cadillac commercial, Cadillac, those cars are parked in front of some very nice homes, usually up in the hills. They come down that winding road, park in front of this restaurant with valet parking, toss the keys, go in, and they're dressed up, going out for the night. That's who Cadillac says is our target customer. But when you are riding through the streets, you probably see some very different versions of people who bought Cadillacs. So that means that anybody can buy it, but your target customer, that ideal customer, is the one most likely to buy your product or service. That's who your target customer is. That's the problem you want to solve. And that's who you want to speak to in all of your marketing. Does anybody have questions on that? And again, we're going to get into some real deep talk or conversations about that next week.
I know Laurencia has her hand up. Laurencia, you want to come off mute?
Just an agreement, a rebuttal. No, it's the Buick commercials for me. Come on, Buick. That's a Buick. Now when I see a Buick, anyway, I'm like, look at that Buick. That's a Buick. Wow. So yes, I agree.
Buick up their game a lot. And if you recall, in their commercials, they did that exact same thing. There are people in the commercials going, that's a Buick? What? Because Buick said, no, don't sleep on us. We have come up a little bit.
Yeah, my boss was driving a Buick. She drives a Buick. I was like, oh, she got a Buick. Oh, they got her. They got her money. They sure did.
Yeah. We have one more person with their hand up. Janice, I think, maybe. Hopefully I don't butcher that.
It's pronounced honesty.
Honesty. All right.
Yeah.
That is so pretty.
Thank you. The J is silent. So my question is, I'm starting a business doing luxury picnics, and I've been going back and forth deciding if I should target men or target women. I see men. My goal for my business is having men purchase the picnics for their women. So I sometimes get confused, like, okay, should I be leaning towards the women and market towards them, or should I market towards the men?
Well, you have a problem, or I shouldn't say a problem. You have a situation that's not uncommon where you have a customer and an end user, if you will. If you think of like a parent and a child's toy, you can't really market to that child because they don't have the money. So your customer is the parent, but the child is the end user. So if I could rewind this just a little bit, what is the problem that you saw in the marketplace that said you solved it with a luxury picnic basket?
The problem I'm solving is creating dates that women actually want to go on. Actually, because sometimes hold on. I'm still thinking about the problem, but for the most part, in the past, I've heard my friends and loved ones just complain about the gifts they received from their boyfriend not being what they wanted, or wanting this special date but getting something less than. So solving is basically creating the dates that they want, women want.
Have you checked to see if the amount of women who want the luxury picnic is wide enough or broad enough, big enough to be a business?
I have, not in Rochester. I haven't done research in Rochester.
When you get to where you're really getting some focus groups, that might be a great way to do that, or getting into some Facebook groups and having some conversations. People love giving their opinions to see if that is the way to solve that problem. If it is, then I would say your marketing would be speaking to the women.
I want to say something so bad.
To have speaking to the women, so that the women is just like you think of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day commercials show the jewelry and the candy and the roses, and they show the women getting it and being all happy and thanking their men. But it's the men that have to buy that for the women. So, but you want to make sure that that is something that they will get excited enough about, that the men will want to buy that for them.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think someone else had a comment.
Yeah, Chanel.
That was definitely me. There is definitely a big need for the picnics in Rochester. It's a really big business, so I would not give up on that.
See, there you go.
Thank you.
Can I also add to that?
Yeah.
I personally thought that was a cool idea just now listening to it. Like even without any bells or whistles or anything like that, I was like, oh cool, we got a picnic in a basket. Awesome. You know? And not only that, but I know that a large portion of the LGBTQ would also be interested in it.
Nice.
But I would say that exactly what Kim said, like marketing it toward women or more feminine tastes, it's probably the best idea, because if you appeal to women and femmes, they do get excited and they start talking about it. And just like right now, like we're literally sitting here like, yeah, that sounds like a good ass idea. And then we're gonna, go and be like, hey, I heard about this business, right? And then we'll tell everybody else. And I think that would be a great idea to like focus on women and femmes gays, basically.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Sure.
And I do know, Ronika, please tell me if I'm saying that wrong. I know you had your hand up.
Yes, but I'm all set. You answered it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
And you did say it right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And then, Paula, I see you have your hand up. Is there anything that you wanted to ask or maybe add to? Paula Edwards. All right, we are gonna come back around to you. Okay, Kim, you can continue.
All right. The next part of that canvas is incoming revenue. How does your business generate revenue? One thing, especially when we're small, we don't separate revenue versus profit the correct way. Revenue is all that money that comes in. If you sell a phone case for $25, that $25 is revenue, but it's not profit because it costs you something to get that phone case. Your revenue is what they paid for it. Your profit is what you are left with after you subtract your costs. So in a small business, that is critical to understand what your profitability is. Because oftentimes you'll hear a business owner say, I want to quit my job and go into my business full time. My job pays me $50,000 and I live off that $50,000. So I want to make $75,000 for my business so that I'm even more comfortable. But do you know how much you have to sell in your business to generate $75,000? And of that $75,000, based on the costs of your business, is that really going to be enough profit for you to live on? So you really have to understand those numbers. Thankfully, Citizens Bank is here to help you with those numbers, but profitability should be top of the list when you're thinking about what numbers you want to understand. Revenue streams, those are the different ways that your business makes money. Verticals are things that are within the channel of what you do. So let's say you have an event space and you decide you want to offer event planning with that. That's a new revenue stream for your business because some people might pay for it, some people might not. that with the space. You can also say, I'm going to offer event rentals. That's another revenue stream. And people might rent the event rentals without renting the space. You can decide you want to do that. So those are 3 separate revenue streams, the same target audience. They're already in that channel. And that's a vertical. Horizontal, to use that same example, you have an event space, but you have catering that comes in from the outside. You decide, I'm going to offer catering. That's a standalone operation over here. Again, people could rent or hire the catering without the event space, or you can just use it to cut that cost. Instead of you having to pay a caterer, now you own that catering business. And on this side, with delivery of those rentals, instead of having to hire a van or book a U-Haul, you buy a delivery company. So that delivery person, you've cut out those costs of hiring that out, and now you own that, and that's in-house. That's a horizontal revenue stream. And then, of course, you have the hustles, which are just things where you have, say, you have an event space, but you also fix cars. You fix cars in the back parking lot because you have space in the back and you happen to know how to fix cars. So make sure you understand where you're spending your time and what's generating that revenue. Is it part of your revenue stream or is it a hustle? You want to make sure that you perfect that business model to where that money is coming in on a regular basis, as small as you can, and then scale that. If you haven't figured out how to consistently generate revenue with your business, you are not ready to scale because you have nothing to scale. And I would say that most businesses, if not all businesses, benefit from having systems. If you're talking about, I've heard a lot of small businesses talk about investors. People don't invest in people, they invest in systems. Your business has to have a system that if they take you out of the mix, they know that business will still be able to generate the same amount of revenue that it's been generating because you've built the system around what it is you do. That's what you want to make sure you're clear on when you're talking about generating revenue. And then understanding from a unit perspective, how your costs and your revenue play out. Meaning, if you charge by the hour, what is the average cost per customer and the average revenue per customer? I wouldn't get into per hour because you could do a half hour, a quarter of hour, some things you do different within that hour. So I would say from a customer standpoint, if you charge hourly, if you have a product, that's very easy to understand from a unit perspective. What are those costs per product to produce that? And then what's the revenue that you bring in per item? So do those things make sense? Anyone has questions?
We do have 2 hands up, now a third one. We'll call on Tiffany first. Do you want to come off mute, Tiffany Davis?
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. So I have 3 businesses, and all 3 of them are in very high demand. One is in childcare, one is in transportation, and the other one is in entertainment. So when the pandemic took a peak, my daycare was very successful. Well, at first was very successful. well, let me take that back. It struggled at first because a lot of moms were at home. So there was no need for that. So then when everyone was allowed to go back, then the income came back. So while I took that break in income, I had to think like, how am I going to generate the rest of the money to support this one particular business? Because at the time, there weren't many grants that were assisting childcare the way that they have recently within the last like 2 years or so. So it was kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul type of situation. So then when we started the transportation, there was a lack within the school district for transportation to get the kids to school. So we purchased a bus to give that service to the community and help, kind of fill the gap. But at the same time, it was kind of like a robbing Peter to pay Paul situation because those parents that's just returning back to work couldn't afford the service. So then when it came to the entertainment, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to get into my bag with the entertainment. And people always love a good time. They love to come out here, sing and dance and things of that nature. But again, when you step into that ring, you have to worry about the venue, the band, the sound, the setup, the permits. So my question is, I guess it's not, because you kind of answered it. So it's like finding that permanent balance to keep, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm wording it right, but Kim, help me.
Well, my first question is, it sounded like, if I'm understanding you correctly, you had the one, in order to keep that one going, you started another, and then in order to keep that one going, you started another. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, they all kind of existed at the same time, because I remember one of the ladies mentioning that she had like but a few businesses running. So they all kind of were birthed at the same time, but the childcare has been around longer than the other two. And it's, I don't know.
And why do you need to keep all three of them open and up?
Well, actually, the demand is promising, to be honest with you. And it's like one of those things. First of all, I enjoy all three. Let me just say that. The other part is, it's kind of like when I think of myself as a brand, I think franchise as well too. So I try to touch as much as I can, I guess you can say, but I've learned now to not overextend myself, because I did go through the losses. I did go through the stress. I did go through not having the financial return. I put more out and didn't receive any back in return. So now I'm just trying to find, like I said, that balance to do all, because I would love to stay in all three, but just find that permanent balance to keep my revenue and my profit, together.
Well, is there a reason you can't hire people to be, if you think of it like my example early on, instead of you owning the entertainment business and the bus transportation business and the daycare business, you essentially back someone. You say, hey, you have all you need to run this business. I've already established it. I still own 20% of it, but you now take that and do your thing with it.
Yep. So the one thing that I ran into was the competition market. So for instance, even though we have the transportation and we can find someone that qualifies with CDL in transporting, passengers, if the city school district is offering a higher rate with a better schedule, it's kind of like, there that goes, or like, for example, with the entertainment, I will hire someone based on per diem. So if it's depending on the type of event that it is, I'll bring someone on to either do promotion or work the front gate, or so whatever the case may be, something like that. But having permanent staff is something that I don't have of yet, because I work inside of all three of them on the regular.
Right, but if you were to focus on one, you could probably grow that one to the point where it is supporting and sustaining you. And that time that you're spending trying to keep the other two alive by yourself is taking away from whichever one of those has the potential to really be a profit center for you.
Right. Okay.
So you have to decide and look at which one is really, and I don't mean potentially profitable, which one is profitable. Which one, if I took my attention and put into it, I could double, triple the profit of it right now.
And that's
That's the
that's so hard to make a decision on, because if I literally stop one for the other, they all would give me the same benefit. They're all profitable.
They're all equally profitable?
I would say,
because I would imagine that transportation has, actually the
That's
entertainment, I would
transportation.
say, has some costs.
Yeah, it does. I wouldn't say equally though, but they're pretty close.
Because again, when you talk about profitability, you have to factor in costs. And when you're talking about licensing, permits, insurance, those things to me would drive one or the other higher in cost. So that profit would have to be significantly more than one of the others.
Right.
So that's what I would say to you, to really sit down and say, which one of these things has the lower cost and the higher return? And if I focused on that, you don't have to let them go, but you can say, if I brought somebody in to run those other two, and I put my focus over here where this is already very profitable, then I can really generate the kind of income that I'm looking to generate.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Tiffany. All right. I know Maida and Marie have been patiently waiting. Maida, if you want to ask your question.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
I have a company, but my revenue streams, they are pretty much the same service. If we can say that it's a consulting service, but each one I'm doing the trademark for each program. So what I'm not understanding is, should I consider each one of the trademark programs as a revenue stream, or should I develop more the service that I'm offering to the people?
Well, if I understand correctly, your business, you have an overarching business, and within that business, you offer different programs. Is that right?
That's right, to different audience.
So those programs, are they structured the same way so that they have similar costs, similar delivery? And it's like, so for instance, are they all online courses, or are they all 6-week programs?
Yes.
Are they similar that way?
They are similar. It's more like, yes, it's a health coach for different audiences. One is for professionals and business owners. The other is for only women, to how to do a detox of their goals. And the third one is to how to integrate health in their life. So it's deep. I'm offering probably the same thing, but it's going in different ways. But yes, it's pretty much the same structure. I'm using one accounting, so for all of them. But I'm not sure if my services or the program, because the service is the program is considered as a revenue stream.
Yeah, all of them together is one revenue stream.
Okay.
Because they are all the same topic, all the same sort of delivery. They're just different variations of that content, if I understand correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Maida. All right, Marie, I know we are going to get to you. I see the other person that had their hand up is no longer up. So again, just to be respectful of everyone's time, we're gonna continue to make sure Kim can get through the remainder of the slides. But if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat as well, okay?
Okay, so outgoing costs. This is what we were just talking about. You want to make sure you understand all of the costs that go into your producing a unit of your product or service, including your own labor. Paying yourself is something that should be done from the beginning. You may not be able to pay yourself as much as you'd want to, but you have to pay yourself something. And the reason for that is, as you begin to move away from the operations of the functional portions of the business and step into that owner role, you're going to have to pay somebody to do the work that you just left behind. And if your business hasn't been set up to absorb that salary, you're going to struggle trying to figure out how to do that. Whereas if you are already paying yourself, one tactic that you can use, especially as a small business, let's just say you're paying yourself $20 an hour. And you say, I'm going to bring somebody on to do this work. I can bring my salary down by, say, $10. So now it only is going to cost me maybe $2 an hour more to pay them $12 an hour. And I'm going to move up into this space to generate more income so that I'm not feeling that loss, because I'm now getting more work into the company. They're doing a lot more of that work that's coming in. And now I can start, when they get that cycle going of all of that incoming revenue, I can bring mine back up to the $20 an hour, keep them at 12, and then do that again when I'm ready to hire another person. So you want to make sure your business is already set up to absorb those costs of labor, including your own labor. And then you want to understand what your overhead costs are. What are those costs that even if I sell nothing, even if nobody calls me for any services, what are those costs I'm still going to have? Insurance, rent, utilities, postage, subscriptions, my website hosting. What are those things that no matter what happens with my business, I still have to pay? You want to understand all of that. When we talk about what's in that plan, some of that should be in your plan. Actually, all of that should be in your plan so that you can see exactly how much it costs you to do business. And from there, you'll be able to understand, is my pricing set correctly? Do I need to be raising my prices every year because those incoming costs from my suppliers, from my vendors, the places where I buy my stuff from, they've raised their prices every year. So I need to raise my prices every year to make up for what I'm losing by them raising their prices. You need to be able to see that in front of you and be regularly monitoring that, be it in a spreadsheet, even pen and paper. Somewhere you need to be capturing those costs and making sure you're clear for every unit that you sell. What are my costs? Does everybody have that? Any questions on that?
I do see a hand up, but Jaslyn, we're gonna get to you. We just have maybe 3 more slides to go through and we'll get to your question.
All right, moving on. Lead generation, we talked a little bit about that. Lead generation is where it all starts. You have to have a process for generating leads. When we do the target customer next week, there is a graphic in there that shows the funnel. And we're going to talk about that funnel and how you need to make sure lead generation, if you think of a funnel, and everybody's familiar with that thing that kind of goes that way and narrows down. Some people use it in cooking. I don't cook, but I know what it is. And it goes this way. You want to make sure you have as many leads as possible at the top, because not all of those people are going to buy. And the more you have at the top, the more that are going to come out of the bottom as customers. So you want to have a process for routinely filling the top of that funnel so that you routinely have customers falling down through there. It comes down to your marketing, your branding, part of your social media, your website. What is it that you're doing where is it that your customer is expecting to find the product or service you offer? And make sure you're there and make sure that you are measuring, is that working? If you do a radio ad, I had one client who spent, I don't even want to talk about how much money they spent on radio ads, but they were advertising on a station that none of their customers listened to. And so they didn't have any way of measuring the fee or the return on that investment. They were just, it's a good deal, I'm gonna spend it, I'm on the radio, but you're on the wrong station. So you wanna make sure that you are measuring all of those efforts so that you can shift if you need to shift, and make sure that you are bringing in the most leads at the top of that funnel. Because a business without customers is a hobby, and you need customers, and they come from all the leads that you generate on a regular basis. I'm gonna move on. Capacity. This is another one. If you are bringing in all of those leads, creating all of those customers, you have to be able to service them. So you need to know how many units of my product or service can I produce in a month? How do I understand how much I can work to be able to deliver on that product or service? So you can take and say, how much effort if you work part-time, how much time, how much effort can I set aside for my business? If you're in that business full-time, is that 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week? What is that time frame that you have? And then you say, based on that, how much can I generate? How many clients can I service? How many customers can I service? And then from there, you're going to narrow that down even further to see, does that production schedule meet my financial goals? Can I support my business with that output? Because if not, you have to make some decisions as an owner. Do I raise my prices? Are there ways I can lower my costs? Is there a way I can build some efficiency so that it doesn't cost me more? So each unit returns more profit than what is currently producing, so that I don't have to sell as many units to make that same amount of money? Those are some of the things you want to examine as the owner. That's that owner work we talked about earlier, that when you're busy in the business doing the work, it's hard to think of that. You need to be able to step back, write all of this out, and figure out, can I meet my financial goals with my current costs, my current capacity, and my current prices? And we're gonna pop on to the next one. Business state of mind. We're wrapping it up right here. Focus on that mindset. Think of being an owner, not the employee. How do you set the vision for your business? Step back and say, does this business represent my culture? Does this business represent my brand? Does this business solve the problem the way that I want it solved in the marketplace? Do I have the right target customers selected? Those are the things that, as the owner, should be keeping you up at night and saying, I'm on point, or I need to make some changes. And if you have some problems or some fears around talking to people and customers and building customers, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Practice, practice, practice. Even if you want to call us up and say, I just want to run a sales pitch by you. I want to run my elevator speech by you. I want to make sure that I have the right wording, because it's all about how you talk to that customer. And you need to practice that over and over again. Because the more confident you are about that business, the more confident your customers will be doing business with you. And then that accountability, doing that owner work. If you have to do that, I understand we're all in the small businesses. So if you have to spend 30 hours, 40 hours doing the work in your business, you still will want to set aside about 10 hours sometime to do the work on your business, because that owner work is what separates you from your employees. If you're not willing to put that time in and put the effort in that level of business activity, then your employees, you're no different than your employees. So business state of mind, work on that owner work. all those things that we have to do for our own business that no one can do for us. And that's it. We're through. So questions. We still have no
We are
time, but
literally at 7:30. Thank you, ladies, for being patient with us. We made it through. There are 2 questions. I know Jaslyn had a question, and Coach Raquel, you had a question. I see Laurencia, you just raised your hand.
I'll have to excuse
Before
myself.
we get, oh, go ahead,
I have
Laurencia. You're
class. I
good.
have class at 7:30. It's nice to meet everybody. See you next Tuesday. All right.
all
Have a
right.
good night.
Laurencia, have a good one. All right, so we have Coach Raquel, we have Jaslyn. Before we get to your questions, Kim, if you can stop sharing the slides for a quick second.
Sure.
I know some folks obviously have to go. That's okay if you have to go. If you want to stay on to hear the questions and the responses, please feel free to do so. But I do want to say, actually, Marisol, if you can come on camera for a second. She's around here somewhere. Some of you have already spoken to Marisol, whether it's via email, she's texted you, called you. At some point, you've made some contact with her. She is our amazing team member here at Pastone that has made sure that you ladies, yeah, I'm getting better at this. I'm sorry, you folks. Tim has made sure that you all can join today's call and the remaining sessions. If you have any questions, you should have her information by now. Marisol, if you could put it in the chat as well, just in case anybody missed it. But just to let you know, Marisol sent out a calendar invite just maybe 15 minutes ago. That calendar invite is for the office hours that Kim is offering, and that is going to be on Thursdays. So Tuesday class is going to be the same Zoom link you used today. Thursday office hours is a separate Zoom link. The reason we sent 2 separate calendar invites is so that there isn't any confusion with that. Please take advantage of those office hours. If you have additional questions, based on like everything that Kim is going through right now, or if you need to just talk a bit more in detail, right? Everyone has different businesses, so everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different. So I just want to make sure that I get that message across, and then we will go ahead and get to the questions. So Jaslyn, if you're still here, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
It was based on, okay. So I know it's important for us to know our cost to turn our key, like how much it costs each day. Is there like a template or something that we should use to help us figure out that cost?
There's not a template per se for generic, just because people's costs, the cost will vary by business. What's your business?
I have a commercial cleaning company. I just feel like sometimes I'm just underbidding myself. And it costs to open, it costs to turn that key. So I just want to make sure we're not underbidding.
No, but you should be able to, if you did a Google search on cleaning business costs, that should give you a general idea. And then your business, you can plug in what your specific costs are. And I would say if you have, generally speaking, if you use equipment like a shampoo or a rug shampoo or a vacuum cleaner, anything like that, that you use on each job, a percentage of that should be included in every price, every quote. Same with your cleaning. If you buy your products by the month, and you say, this is going to last me for 30 days, and you have said a percentage of that goes into every single job. You want to make sure that if you have something that will eventually need to be replaced or replenished, that is fed into each job. So when it comes time to do that, you just pull the money you've already been collecting from your customers and pay that, and not have to figure out how to come up with that money on the fly.
Thank you.
But there's probably a list, and I would say just if you don't have Excel, you could just write that out on a list to and keep a running list of all the things you normally use in the course of and I would say do it over a month so that you can make sure that
would you say my cash flow will be considered that? Would my cash flow help me figure that out? No.
Your cash flow statement?
Yeah.
No, your cash flow statement won't detail all the individual costs like that. That's really
Oh.
just a single list, and your total costs will then go into
Right.
that.
Okay.
But the individual costs are separate.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Jaslyn, just to, and this is for everyone else on the call, there is, once we get to weeks 3 and 4, that's where Citizens Bank, now known as Citizens, is going to do their financial modules. And so we are going to be providing a mentorship piece along with those particular modules. So Dave Kraus, I believe he is on the call still, if I'm not mistaken. I know some folks that were participants of last year's She Means Business, they had mentorship from Dave, and everyone really enjoyed that piece. So he can kind of help you out with kind of like the pricing piece that goes along with that as well. So just so you know. I just muted myself. Coach Raquel, thank you for being patient. Please ask your question. I see you. I don't hear you.
I
There you
pressed the
go.
wrong button. So I'm the owner of Fit to You Wellness, and I provide wellness services and support for school leaders and educators to help reduce stress and to support their mental, physical, and social well-being. So I've been doing it. This is my 5th year. And last year, I focused a lot just on coaching staff and just focusing on one contract, which was really nice because I got to really, do a deep dive with that particular school. But I realized that in order to really scale my business, I have to start to put myself out there and make sure that other schools and other people who are looking for this service are able to find me. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I think my struggle is that I know that my prices are low. And it's just trying to figure that out, because as a coach or as a consultant, there is like such a large range of what you can charge for that. And so I think sometimes I struggle with trying to figure out where to kind of jump in, especially as I'm putting myself out to other organizations. And especially because I've spent lots of time where I would work on a budget, for an organization. And then they would be like, oh, well, we don't have that. Even after I already asked them, like, what's their budget? So just trying to figure out, like, how do you figure that out? And then also, I think my other question, which for me was really a aha moment, was you talking about paying yourself. Because as a coach, I don't necessarily always have a large overhead, but that's something that as I move forward, I definitely want to start to do, especially because there might be opportunities to bring others in as well. So just wanted to ask about those two things. How do I pay myself? And then the other part is, how do I, find a good balance to really start with putting myself out there in terms of.
I would say your first thing is understanding where they would expect to find you. Where does your target audience look for what you offer? And if you had a contract already, that's a great start to find out, where did they find you? How did they find you? What made them hire you? Those are kind of questions that after the fact that they should be very happy to offer, especially if they were happy with your service. And then
Well, that one's easy because I kind of was just putting myself out there. I was going door to door before the pandemic hit, and I would just go to businesses, or I would call people that I knew and ask them if they knew of anybody that was looking for that service. So that's how I landed that. They started with a workshop and then they wanted more services. So that one was kind of an easy one. But
that sounds like you can start then offering the workshop and say from there, build up to that bigger contract, the same way you did with this one. But you won't not necessarily have to start from door to door this time, because you have something to build on. You have some past performance. You use that past performance as the entry to some of these other places to say, listen, I've already done that for this school. I can do that for you and then some. And if you think they're price sensitive, really do start with that workshop only and say, once you get in, you see what I can do, then we can build from there. You asked about pricing. I would say that you could up your price by, say, about 20%, 30%, see if they still buy. If they do, if someone buys it at that price, then the next person bump it up again, 20, 30%, until you're start to get some real resistance from that. But I would also say that when we're consulting, value is top of mind. You have to be very clear yourself, and then be able to make it clear in the communications, the value that you bring, especially if you have any proprietary materials you've created, a process that's unique to your business, that's worth money. So you want to put those things out first and use it to say, this is an investment. This is not just you purchasing an hour or 2 hours of my time. This is you investing in your people, in yourself, and this is what you're going to get for that investment. So really push the value of what you're doing to drive that price up higher, that price point higher. And then when it comes to paying yourself, you want to make sure that, is this your full-time gig? So you want to make sure all of your costs are covered from your home perspective, to say, this is how much I need to make to cover my personal life. This is how much I need to make to cover the business, which, as you said, won't be very much. You don't have a lot of overhead. So I can't charge anything less than this. And then that's what you get out there with, and be confident with it. Make sure that the value you bring is commensurate with the pricing that you're charging.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thanks for your question, Coach Raquel. And we have one last person. That's the last question we're going to take for today. Shantasia, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Hi, I'm gonna keep it quick because I need a lot of help. I'll be there Thursday. But I wanted to do my homework of filling out the worksheets that you guys send out, but I just wanted to get clarification first so I can do it to the best of my ability. So like many other people, I have like multiple ideas and multiple things that I want to do. Currently I do custom services, like putting vinyl and stuff on clothes or making stickers, like all things custom. And I'm trying to venture off and add on more stuff to that. So I can make custom party supplies and favors as well. So to add on to that stream, I wanted to do like rental, so like a 360 machine rental, and eventually like just keep adding on more stuff like on the party section, but it's all gonna fall like correlate together, if that makes sense.
I will
Do
tell
you get what
you,
I'm trying to ask? So, because you know how so many people be like, oh, you trying to do too much at once or focus on one thing at once, but it's like it all flows together. Or what's your opinion?
you started out saying with customization and focusing on customization, and then you brought in the 360, and I'm saying, you
Okay,
should
so
really.
also I left out one thing as well, because I'm doing an event planning class also, so that's where the 360 came in. So I feel like, because you know how when people have birthday parties and stuff like that, they do like custom party supplies. Some people get custom shirts, and then they rent out stuff. So like a one-stop shop.
Right, but when you talk about branding that and really making a place for your customers to come, you can't dilute it too much by trying to be all things to all people in the party world. If I come to you for planning, and again, this is going to come into where your target customer is and the problem that you're solving for them. If you start doing too much, that confuses your marketplace, and they start to see you as something of a commodity. And a commodity is something that you just interchange. One is no different than the other. You don't want to be in that commodity space, because once you become a commodity, people start comparing pricing. And that's where you start having to charge less and less and less to try to beat the competition. And that's just what's called a race to the bottom. If you are if you have a specialty of customization, that's worth something. I would stick with that, but I would make it much more targeted. If you think of that Burger King graphic where you have that square that's out here, you don't want to be what you just described as out here, people who need party services. And that's just all over the place because the 360 can go away as a trend and there'll be something else. And then these other party favors that I see out here now, there'll be something else. And then you're stuck with all of that stuff and constantly trying to keep up with trends. That's not where you want to be. Where you want to be is say, I customize things. And you got, if that's the demand that people are coming to you for, that's saying that you're solving a problem for them. You're giving them something unique that they can't get from a store. Stay in that lane and focus on that and build that as a brand.
Okay.
And if you want to get into the party stuff as a way for getting away from the t-shirts and focusing strictly on party stuff, I would say that's a good idea, but look for ways to provide something different. More than just putting their name on it. What can you do that's different that you create so that you can control those costs? It's not something that's a trend that will go in and out. This is really about your customization business. Make sense?
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you for your question, Shantasia. All right, lady. Everybody. All right, everybody. I got to get out of the habit. I will get better. Thank you for joining today's class. This is just one of many that we will have. As you can see, it's very in-depth. We definitely try. I'm including myself in here, right? But Kim is really doing the heavy lifting. She's really getting into the details of your business. Disregard my notifications here. So that, you know, hopefully there's some evolution throughout this course, right? Some growth throughout your business, and maybe even a bit of direction, right? I know I've heard a few of you say, you know, you have a lot of businesses, you have a lot of ideas. Just remember, you are only one person. So does it make sense to focus on all of the things, or maybe one of them is really going to be the one that's kind of the, you know, the impetus to maybe eventually grow later on. Again, reminder, you have all received a calendar invite for the office hours, which that happens on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. Make sure that if there are any questions that you'd like Kim to go over, that you please email Kim those questions before joining the Thursday office hours. It's an open virtual office hour. So all you have to do is click the Zoom link and that's it. So, you know, everyone is welcome. It's not mandatory, but I would say take advantage. If you have any questions or you just want to hear what's going on with the other businesses, it's very helpful, right? Because they may be having a situation that you are currently having or that you may have in the future. So please take advantage of that. If you have any additional questions, maybe that we haven't answered, or there's anything that we need to address that we have not yet addressed, please feel free to reach out to us. Marisol, if you could put your email in the chat. I'm putting my email in here as well, just in case. And yes, you can access the recording after this. Give us about 48 hours, just because this has to finish doing whatever it does once the Zoom call is over. And then we have to upload that to our YouTube channel. And that just takes a little bit because these are long sessions. And it will be a private channel. So this won't be accessible to everyone out in the world. It'll just be accessible to the folks that are joining this call. Is there anything that I haven't touched? The same thing goes with the slides. Thank you for asking these questions because I do forget a lot of things. So the same thing, you will have access to the slides. There is a Google Drive, which has also been sent out to everyone. It's going to contain all of the things that we send out in these classes. That is all I have. Thank you for staying on. We are going to be better at, ending right at 7:30. But we really do appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday and obviously Thursday for the office hours. But thank you again.
Yes.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.